Again, it's your boy Kormega, and I have another game today to show to you. I recently played this 10-minute rapid game on chess.com, and I think it's something I want to start doing again because I've spent too much time playing bullet and blitz, and I think it's beginning to affect my concentration and discipline at the board. So I'm going to start doing a lot more 10-minute games and maybe 15 minutes, depending on how it feels. Anyways, I recently played this game on chess.com, and I thought it was very instructive on two fronts. On the defensive front, and also teaches a very important attacking lesson. One thing I like to sort of impress upon people, and I try to remind myself all the time, is, if I don't have to move the pawns in front of my castle king, then I try as much as possible not to move those pawns, because they're meant to be a protection, a barrier, to protect your king. And when you start moving them for no just reason, you give your opponent a target, something vulnerable that they can exploit. So the lesson of this video will be, two faceted. Will be two. Don't play pawn breaks near your king unless your position can support it. And then the moment your opponent creates weaknesses, stop playing normal chess. Start playing for their king, because they've made themselves vulnerable. I'll show you what I mean in a bit. So the game starts normally e4. I'm playing white, by the way. E4, c6. It's a Caro-Kann. d4, d5. I play e5 advanced variation. He plays bishop f5, bishop d3, bishop times bishop, queen times bishop, e6, knight d2. Knight e2, knight d7, 0-0, knight e7. Everything seems to be going along well. Knight d2, he plays c5 rather. I play c3 defending the pawn. He plays knight c6. I play a6. I play a6 out of habit, by the way. I don't think it's the strongest move in that position. I think the engine is saying that queen g3 is the correct move. And I can see why that is, because it immediately puts pressure on g7. But I digress. So he plays a5, clamping down on my queen side, because the intention for a6 is to eventually push b4, but this prevents it completely. So I switch my attention to the king side. That isn't the best move according to the engine. Apparently, the best move for me to play would be f4. I actually thought about that move. But then again, I didn't want a situation where his queen could come out and bear down on my king via that diagonal. So I refrained from playing f4 and went with knight f3. So he continues with queen b6. So I play rook b1. Now the intention behind rook b1 is to protect this pawn, so I can move this bishop away from the square and complete my development. So after that, pawn times pawn, pawn times pawn, bishop e7, and then I play bishop e3. My development is complete at this point. And if you have been looking at the eval bar, it's roughly equal for black and white. So there's nothing, there's nothing crazy here. There's no obvious blunders, no vulnerabilities apparent. So everything's fine. So he castles kingside. I play knight f4. It's not a very good move. The engine prefers knight g4, but I'm human, so I can't see every correct move. So I played knight f4. He brings his rook to c8, because there's an open file here. One of the rules of chess is occupy open files with your rooks, and own them. Boom. So I played this move, knight h5. Now the move isn't actually the best, and you can see from the eval bar that white is slightly worse in this position. Now my opponent makes an error, the classic error of worrying about nothing. He plays f6, and you can see the eval bar move straight up for white from what it was previously. You see, white was worse before, but with that move, with f6, The eval just goes up for white. So this is a poor move because it just makes this area vulnerable. You see, e3 is vulnerable. I mean, sorry, e6 is vulnerable. This pawn here, you know, is backward. It has no defenders, you know. Then it opens this diagonal for me, you know, to the king. It's just so many things wrong with that move. And yeah, and I'll show you how it was punished shortly. So once he's played that, I realized that he feels a bit uneasy on his king side. So I take the pawn. He takes back. And now he was meant to take back with the bishop. That's what the engine says. But he took back with knight. Right now he's not thinking. His analysis isn't optimum right now because he's playing from a place of distress and anxiety. He's nervous about this knight that's hanging on the edge of the board, you know, hovering around his kingside castle, when what he should be doing is keeping calm and assessing the position for what exactly it is. So we continue with, yeah, the engine says this is brilliant. Now my intention is to attack both this square and this square, threaten, you know, queen times h7. Obviously that would be after removing the protector to h7 via my knight that was on h5. And if he decides to take this knight, it leaves this diagonal open for me. I can take and then take back here. So he plays back another defensive move. I proceed with my attack, knight times knight check. He takes back with bishop and then queen times h7. At this point, you know, the game's already bad for black. You know, you can see, you know, the eval bar go up even more for white. He plays what he can. He moves his king out of the way. I check again. He moves, and then I bring my queen back. Bishop times pawn. I think I could have defended that pawn, but I didn't. I was keen on exploiting his king's vulnerability. So all my focus right now is on attacking the king. But regardless, I think the game is already bad enough for black that, you know, the writing is on the wall. So I take back, which isn't the best move, by the way, but the position is so poor that even my moves that are suboptimal will still do. So another poor move, by the way. My focus is on this pawn here on e6. What does he play? He defends it. Instead of what the engine prescribes is taking the pawn on a2. So we continue. Knight f3, queen c5, knight e5, rook b6, queen check, king in, and then I take the pawn on g7. The rest is, you know, as they say, history. He takes a pawn on b2. I don't know for what reason he's doing that, because there's clearly a mate waiting here, which is delivered in the next move. So how the game played out, you know, is not so important to me. But what I wanted to point out was the turning point in the game. The point where the tide turned was when he made the move f6. There was no need for it. There was absolutely no need for it, because this knight hanging on the edge of the board is harmless. But that's the reason why I played there, because it's testing your temperature. And if you fall for the trick and you play something silly like that, you will definitely pay for it. But yeah, tell me if you've ever fallen to this sort of situation before, and if you have a similar game that, you know, showcases something like this. I'd be happy to, you know, to review it on the channel. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next turn. Keep playing chess.